Hello, hypothetical viewers, and welcome back to Shining Force Final Conflict. We are gonna get a secret character today. Since the last episode, I did do a teeny tiny bit of grinding just to kind of bump everyone up to at least level 10. A couple people got more than that. Howl, I think, is kind of the weak link here because it's gonna be quite a while before he gets another level of his spells. He will eventually get Blaze 4 and Freeze 3. And he'll never get a fourth spell, by the way. Again, questionable game design choices. Why would you make a wizard who never fills out his full spell list, and he's the main wizard? The only other one you get is Minto, who comes with 4 spells, 2 of which are useless. I guess he's spared that, at least. Attack 1 boosts the melee character's attacks. I guess theoretically could be useful. He did get some more MP. He can use Blaze 3 4 times now, so that's something. Sanette actually got several levels in a row where she got 2 attacks, so her attack got boosted up quite a bit. And she's now definitely on par with our other melee characters. She's not as ridiculous as characters like Ruberon, but she's very solid. And she also had those several levels where she got like 3 defense and stuff, so she's actually decently tanky now. She's very fragile before promotion, and then she was a little under par on attack at first, but then she really caught up. Julia also got several levels in a row where she got 2 attacks, so that helped her catch up a bit. Unlike Sonya, I would not, or Sanette, sorry, I keep saying the wrong name, Sanette, I would not say that she's like really solid now. She's still not great, but she's closer to par with characters like our paladins who are solid attackers. And given her high mobility, I will say she's actually an okay party slot at this point. It required a fair amount of training, so if you're not grinding everyone all the way up to 20 and then willing to level them up even further to probably past the point where the game reasonably expects you to be, then her presence here would be questionable. But since I am the kind of person who does that, she's fine. And I would just, because I think if she didn't fly, I would have more complaints about this. But, given that she does fly, so she's very easy to fit into kind of awkward spaces, awkward terrain, she can still get adjacent to the boss. And her attack is adequate. You know, it's on par with some of our other characters who are, they're attackers, but they're not like our attack is literally all they do, like the gladiator class. I think the problem is just that Kiddo is so good that everyone seems bad in comparison to him. But yeah, Howl is the weak link mostly because for the other characters, you can see that just a small number of levels where they got decent gains in attack makes them totally usable. And the thing is that if you're in a map where they're going to be attacking, on most turns, if they're not attacking, it's because there's no enemies for anybody to attack. So every time there are enemies they're attacking, even that small increase of 4 or 5 damage per attack, it makes a big difference over the course of the map. It really means that their total damage contribution becomes much higher. Whereas for Howl, he gained like 1 MP on most levels, occasionally get 2, but the problem is that in order for that to increase the amount of damage he's doing over the course of the map, he has to get enough to cast an additional spell. And his best spell is Blaze 3, right, which costs 10. So he needs to get 10 MP to have a full extra cast of it, which takes a long time, and also it's just not as impactful as like 10 extra attack on one of our, physical fighters would be like, holy shit, they're amazing now. Like, they're so much better compared to where they were. 10 extra damage per attack is like you're taking out enemies in much faster time. 10 extra MP to do 1 extra cast of a spell, it's not like that's contributing to your damage every turn. It's like, well, during the battle you can do a single additional spell, and since enemies aren't always clustered, that'll give you maybe 15 extra damage for the entire battle. So it's... Magic in Shining Force just is not great at the end of the game, so... he's a possible drop if we decide to drop more than one person. I did level up Sasuke a little more. You can see that he got several solid levels in a row where he got multiple points in attack and defense, so he's adequate now as well. He's kind of similar to Juliet in terms of stats. His magic, he just doesn't have that much MP, but like, honestly, Ruberon doesn't either. The ninja classes never have that much. They're not primary mages, so they can't use a ton of spells. You can, I don't know, cast a couple maybe in a battle, so it's not that big of a deal. He does have inherently ranged attacks since his weapon's in range, so, he's better than he would be if he was just a pure, like, bog standard melee fighter. It's similar to Julie, where he has something to help compensate for the fact his attack isn't amazing. Even for the paladins, they can attack at 1-2 range, and they obviously have high mobility unless there's difficult terrain. So that, and they're pretty tanky, whereas characters like Paige really need to have much higher stats like attack and defense because they don't have anything else going for them. That's their whole deal. And honestly, you can really see that reflecting their attack. Then you have characters like Ruberon and Kojirou, who are just stupid strong. It's like, how did they make this broken-ass character? But you can see, his MP is not really better than Sasuke's. It's just how it is. But if we're gonna drop someone for a new character, it's probably gonna be Sasuke. Just because we already have a ninja. And the new character, I'm just gonna point out where he is. He's actually, I thought he was at the top. He's all the way down here in this suspicious square, which I was like, oh, that's a suspicious square. Is there something there? But I had forgotten that. I was so convinced in my mind. I was like, didn't I see in the guide that he's up here? He was not. He's down there. So we'll just be moseying on over. Maybe one of the birds can grab him. And then we will actually probably egress, just so we can actually fight this battle with him, because he's available for so few battles. These sphere things, these floating blue things, while grinding, I fought through, like, about the top half of the map. I never really went down here towards these boss cluster enemies, but these spheres never seemed to do anything. Or if they were doing something, it was something that did not cause damage and was not announced in any kind of, like, message or anything, so I have no earthly idea what it is. I don't know if, like, once you get close enough to the boss, maybe there's some area that you have to enter, and then they activate somehow and do something, but it's actually surprising to me how far we got in the battle without that happening. Because if we got any further down, a bunch of them, we would be nowhere near them, so I really don't know what they do. You can't attack them or interact with them in any way. The melee characters can't walk into them, but the birds can actually be on top of them. So they're terrain that we can fly over. I guess, but not cross. So I don't know what the deal is with them. I really thought it was going to be like some of like the things like laser flowers or bombs and some other maps we've done. This map in particular, in Shining Force 2, the final time you fight it, there's these like stone heads that like roll around, and if you keep attacking them, they'll blow up eventually. And more of them keep being summoned, so it's sort of like you have to rush. So I sort of figured it would be some sort of trap like that, but I couldn't, like, I had characters stand right next to them for ages because it was convenient, and nothing happened. This is also baffling, because my characters, I was just gonna say, oh, I clustered everyone up, this is a bad situation, but the witch, rather than using magic, which could have hit, like, 4 characters, just hit us with a staff for 1 point. Why? Like, I don't understand is the AI design just, like, truly random, where that's just a rare but possible outcome? If it is truly random, why would you even make that an option? Like, why not just have them always use magic since they're wizards? And since they'll be dead in a turn or two, you might as well have them attack while they can. Doesn't really make sense to me. That's all I'm saying. No one really got all that injured, so... Ruberon, just take out this high witch. I want to point out, that's not a critical hit, that was just a normal attack. He's just that absurdly strong. He's the highest attack out of our whole party. He's absurd. Kiddo is the second highest. He's also pretty absurd. Like, look at this. That was actually a critical hit, to be fair. The lesser demons are a little tankier, but he's ridiculous. He's just... he's too good. I feel like the character design in this game, the balance is really strange. And some of the characters are just absurdly overpowered, and then some of them are like fine, and some of them are just terrible. And I feel like, you know, perhaps someone would say, oh, well, that's normal, you know, you have a range of characters, but the character pool you're choosing from is pretty small. This isn't like Fire Emblem where you have 40 people and, like, you know, you're using, like, you know, maybe 20 of them, so there's a big range. This is a tiny, tiny party. And so, I don't know why, A, you would make some of them just completely worthless, and B, you would make some of them way, way too good. Like, they all could have been just fine. We have a lot of characters who are just like, yeah, they're fine. They work well. I also will say, I'm not sure... I was looking at the party screen, right? So we may as well have... see, this is my problem I get into with him, where I'm like, I don't want to use his magic too soon, because then he'll run out, and then he'll be able to do literally nothing. That's why Howl... I know I normally keep all the wizards, but I'm really considering him for a drop, because, like, it's hard to make him useful. The other thing also is, if he's attacking a single enemy, he'll do, like, maybe 15 damage. And, like, that's not very much, considering that that is a quarter of his total attacks for the fight. The melee characters, even if I have one of the ones that doesn't do as much as, like, oh, just 14 damage, they can attack infinitely as many times as they're still alive for. So it's not a waste in the same way. Whereas with magic users, you're pretty... I feel like they could easily have either made the spells stronger or made MP more plentiful, one of the two. and it would not break things at all. Because, like, the spells are weak enough that your melee attackers are usually doing more, so then if spells are plentiful, it's like, okay, so the trade-off is they don't do as much damage, but they hit multiple enemies, so that's nice. And the rest of the time they just do, like, you know, not as much damage as the others, but it's something. It's okay. Or they can make spells quite good, so then it's like, well, you only get so many of them, but when you use them, it's very impactful. But instead, they did neither of those things, and it's like, well, you don't get to use spells very often, and also when you do, it doesn't do very much, which is, it's like, why? Why would you? I know in every single game I've kept, like, multiple magic users in my party the whole one. This is the one where I'm just like, eh. I don't know what about this one finally did this to me. Maybe it's just that Howl, like, he was okay early game, but he's just not, like, his spell versatility, he doesn't even have all 4. You know, maybe he's just even worse than the other magic users. Maybe he's more MP starved, I'm not really sure. So we'll just use, this is one of his 4 Blaze 3s. Did 14 points of damage. And if that was something he could do consistently, like many times throughout the fight, that would be okay. It wouldn't be incredible, but on those occasions when you have enemies clustered up, it would be like, that's great. You know? But see, she's getting attacked more consistently now, which is, it helps her, you know, function basically. It doesn't make her amazing, but it makes her, like, useful. Especially combined with the fact that she flies. Which is why I do almost always use all the flying characters, because A, they're cool, and B, I like the flexibility where they can just ignore awkward terrain and stuff. Once again, a baffling decision. The magic using enemies are just like, let's just hit everyone with our staffs today. That's what we're doing. I don't know whether this will end up being 2 episodes. I'll see how long it takes us to get the new character. Here's Sasuke. You know, let's use his magic. We haven't actually used it yet. He can only use, this is basically Blaze 3. He can only use Blaze 3 twice. I like how, because there's only one animation for each character in battle, so whether you're casting magic, attacking, or using a healing item, it's the same animation, which makes it look like you cast spells by throwing giant shurikens at people. It's a magic shuriken. Now we're getting the magic using enemies actually casting spells on us. Even this is a big chunk of damage, especially for us, because unlike enemies where it's like, you have to defeat all the enemies on the map in order to win, so they're basically just piles of them. So any one enemy getting killed isn't that big of a deal, whereas for our party is small. So one unit getting killed reduces our firepower significantly. So magic is more of a threat to us, because it's like, if something does even like a third of your health, and we also don't have quite as much access to healing, you know, we can't just heal infinitely. So it's a bit more of a threat to us, but even then, it's like, magic using enemies, they're so dangerous early on in the game, and you're like, oh shit now, but later in the game they're not. There's not really a good way to position her to heal all of them up. Well, let's show off Aura 4 while we're here, because we're not going to play the whole map anyway, so. The casting animation isn't any different, but I just wanted to use it on camera at least once. I was using it while level grinding, just because, like, why the hell not? Yeah, just no range heals every single person. Which is great for, like, either everyone on the map is very spread out, and so can't have the healer everywhere at once, or things like fighting Final Boss where everyone is taking so much damage all the time. Very nice. And because she's so stupid over-leveled, with every level over 20, she's mostly only gained, like, either 1 MP or 1 MP and 1 HP, and so she finally has, like, semi-adequate MP after all this done. It took a while, but eventually. Let's have Sinette finish off this witch. Critical hit. Sinette has gotten quite good. Oh man, I guess the witch stopped giving good axe. We did get substantially higher in level after all. I'm slowly heading down towards Ninja Friend. Or a Samurai Friend rather, we're gonna get, that's who our new buddy's gonna be. Based on the face portrait that is in the walkthrough that I looked at, he is significantly prettier than Sasuke, so I will probably keep him. And he's the only one of his character class, and he has a unique battle sprite and map sprite, so he'll be a little more interesting to have in the army. We'll see whether he's like a permanent recruit or not, I'm not sure. Because we will be getting 2 other people that we'll meet after that. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is, when you look at the like swap party member screen and stuff like that, or trading items, you know, where you get to see all your characters, like the other Game Gear games, rather than being a list menu where you're scrolling through a list like in the console versions, it's more like a box with characters in it that you're scrolling around on them. The box has a fixed size, unlike a list, which can expand as much as you want. And right now, we only have 2 empty spaces in the box between the main party and the reserves, just 2. And we have 3 more characters to get. So I don't know if that implies that Max is the sort of character where like in some other Shining Forces where they're just sort of also there. You're not swap. I don't know. Maybe they're just like they just join you on that map and you don't have to put them in your party. Or whether maybe can the box scroll to the side? Like, can we go through multiple pages of it? I don't think that's happened in other Shining Forces, but it's possible, I guess. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I was looking at it. I was like, wait a minute. How will this work? Yeah, you can see that as absurdly overleveled as we are, this map is not particularly difficult. If we had leveled up in more the way that the game probably expects you to, it probably would be rather challenging, but because there's a lot of enemies and they almost all use magic, so, you know, they can kind of hurt us all at once. We're just about there. 1 more square. Next turn that Kiddo gets, we will meet our new friend. And then I was gonna swap him in and just to do the battle with him, but man, we're so close to the end because it took ages to get Kiddo down there that, and you know, it's already been 16 minutes. Maybe we'll bring him in for the next battle. Wrap this one up. This is gonna be Sasuke's final performance. He's honestly, I would say, if you're playing this game in like more of a serious way, I guess, and not just like being just level grinding and doing stupid things like me, and you're trying to figure out who to put in the battle party, he's not at all a bad choice, especially since if you didn't grind literally everyone up to level 20 and stuff, then I assume Ruberon would be at least a little less ridiculous if we had not done that. He'd probably still be quite good just because his stats are so ridiculously high, but and you also like wouldn't be as high level now because we grinded a lot, so you'd be at a more reasonable level now. So Sasuke would be coming in maybe either more on par or even better than the other characters in terms of level, and his stats would be more similar to theirs. And, you know, he's already perfectly, even as things are, he's fine. He's like about on par with kind of our characters who are like, they're physical fighters, but they're not like, that's their only job. They either have good movement or like range or stuff like that, so they're like, they have a little lower attack to balance, I guess, and they're more tanky. So in terms of attack, he can certainly contribute fine. He gets access to the ninja weapons, which are stronger than most of the weapons that the characters get. I noticed this with Ruberon too. Some of his weapons they're more expensive, but they're just like really good. And so, you know, his magic is kind of a nice extra. You're not gonna use it a ton because the ninjas don't get very much MP, but he's certainly just as good as the other characters. So he's not a bad choice for your party if, you know, one of your other ones you don't like as much. Or if you didn't grind everyone, so some of them just aren't very good. Because that's the thing, if I hadn't level grinded everyone up, they might actually be worse than him. Anyway, here's our new buddy in this. I will say this is a little more fair than the previous secret character, because that map, there just was nothing unusual about that specific cactus, so you'd have to find it by accident. Here, you're likely to see this and be like, oh, that's suspicious looking. Particularly if you played the original game and you know that not in this location, but in general, there were a couple in Shining Force 2, which these maps are from. You know, obviously we're in that same continent. There were a couple like hidden villages and stuff, which were indicated by a differently colored square on the map, so you might be interested in checking it. So this is a little more fair. Anyway, Kiddo found Kojirou. I am Kojirou, a swordsman who travels to seek out powerful opponents. See, he's much prettier than Sasuke. Sasuke is a little plain looking. With a reputation such as yours, I'd like to have a match with you. What, you won't fight me unless you defeat them? Kojirou the samurai has joined the force. I don't know why he was hanging out in this random square or how he got here in this like abandoned place. Well then, let me give you a hand. And that's it. And I was originally gonna egress so we could go back and fight the battle with him, but there's so few enemies left that now I'm like, eh. And I will also say, we can't walk past this square, so your physical, like, walking on the ground, not flying characters can't actually go through here. It's very weird. Like, don't go that way. So it'll be... we're at the stage of the battle where we kill most of the enemies in our way, and now we just have to walk to the next group, so... listen to this excellent music and just relax while we walk. Yeah, this is the good. The enemies are approaching us a bit, so there won't be quite as much waiting. And this enemy decided that of all the people he needed to beef with, it was Howl. Like, who's like the least threatening member of the party right now. Howl's the one you gotta come for. I probably shouldn't have let Ben just keep destroying everything, but he's great. I will also say, you're seeing like some decreases in XP here, because the characters are just very high level at this point. You know, we have like level 14 and 15 characters, but I think you're seeing a little with some of our less absurd leveled characters, and I saw during grinding that the enemies on this map gave great X. Like, we had a lot of enemies that even for our higher level characters, you know, would give like 50x by kill or whatever. So I feel like this map probably was designed to give you a chance to level grind a bit if maybe you weren't quite up to par before you got to kind of the big finale. You know, I think apparently there are droppable items too, but I did not really get any of them because I couldn't be bothered. None of them seemed very good. Looking at the gun I was using, I was like, I don't need any of this. So I just didn't even bother with it. But you could, maybe if you didn't have, you know, maybe you didn't get every chest or whatever in the game. Just checking if anyone's injured to heal. It's been like ages since Knuckles got a level because I haven't needed to heal as much now that everyone else is over leveled, and I haven't been letting him fight because he was higher level than everyone. He's almost on par now. I may replace him because if I want to use Kojirou, and then there'll be 2 other characters, so. This is weird. Look at Howl's MP. It's at, his MP is at 46, even though he already used spells. Does the power stick? But normally if you have an item that recovers your MP, it gives you a message saying MP, you know, got 2 MP or whatever. I didn't think the power stick even did that. Does healing recover MP? Like, am I losing my mind here? I used spells with him like twice. What the hell happened? I'm so confused. Let's check. Yeah, his MP went down. But he, I'm puzzled by that. To my knowledge, the power stick does not have the MP restore effect, and usually items that do will have an actual message saying, like, Howl recovered 2 MP. And I didn't think. Have I just, has like healing restored MP this whole game, and I've just never noticed because I just didn't pay attention or something? Maybe this is a special effect of Aura 4. This is an old game, so it doesn't really tell you what, like, literally anything does. Like, you know, all the spells, you know, you just kind of have to observe what they did. It doesn't tell you what the real effects were. So, who knows? But something must have restored his MP. But what? If I knew what, that would actually make him much more useful if it was accessible. Here's the Michaela doll. Casting bolts, which it does do a bit of damage, but we have a goodly amount of HP now, so, you know, we can survive it better than we once could. It's mostly tough because, like, we're kind of walking through difficult terrain to get to her, so we're kind of in a position where she can pester us with it as we approach. I'm gonna try this again. Wait, he has more MP already. He has 41 of 46. What the hell? It wasn't even his turn yet. He did not have a turn in between those moments. How did he... So it's not the healing, but he got more back. He got 5 back. What is he getting it from? Because even with the, like, things like the Angel Staff and the other games which restored MP, it restores it on your turn. And it wasn't his turn. He has the running ring, but I don't think... Why would that restore MP? Does he just inherently restore a certain amount of MP every turn? For some reason, I've never noticed this. This is blowing my mind. If that's actually the case, he maybe we'll keep him in the party because I wouldn't have to be as cautious about his spell use. If he gets 5 MP, but I'm still confused because he was only standing next to Mead, who doesn't have any item relevant. I guess no, Cynthia wasn't next to him before. I may have to like Google this because I'm super confused and intrigued. Well, I guess we can just use his magic with impunity. If he just inherently is always restoring MP, then he's a much, much better character because we don't have to be... Oh, good, he finally got freeze 3 as well. Very nice, now that he's up to level 12. His actual official listed in the guide I looked at, level for getting it is level 22, but I believe how it works is that I noticed this in the other Shining Forces too, where I was really puzzled by how promotion was affecting spell gains because it didn't seem to match up no matter what sort of way I looked at it. But I think what happens is that once you're promoted, it just counts as an extra 10 levels, regardless of the level you promoted at. It's like, so instead of learning at level 22, he learns at level 12, because it's like an extra 10 levels. That's really the only thing I can notice that makes sense. And it's the only thing that's been consistent for all the magic users and across multiple games. Which is interesting. It means that there is no advantage to waiting to promote to get more spells. Just as guides I've seen has said, it's like promote them sooner and you'll get their spells sooner. And the reason obviously is just because you won't get it at a sooner level. You'd still get it at level 12 promoted, but you'll get it to level 12 promoted faster because you won't be using up your time getting the intervening levels. But if you get those intervening levels, you will have more MP, which is somewhat important. And also, like, maybe this is just me, but I got them those final levels by level grinding on a single map, so... I mean, I'm killing the healers first, so they won't heal her. But yeah, if he can... Because this is what I was saying, where I was like, he'll be a better character if only he could use spells on most turns, instead of, you know, just having to save them carefully through the fight. And if he's recovering 5 MP per turn, or some other rubric, because he recovered it before it was his turn again, so I have no idea, but if he's recovering it steadily, then we can use, you know, that's like every 2 recoveries he gets another Blaze 3, so he can keep using spells throughout the fight and do decent damage. But now he has not. I don't, what is the mechanism that caused him to regain MP? I'm literally gonna have to look it up because, like, I don't know what it is. There's nothing, it doesn't seem to be anything that is obvious to me at all. Oh, so we gotta get a mystery staff. Nice, that's one of the items you can get. I will say, I don't know whether it's a cursed item, because I tried putting on the Kaiser knuckles that we got in the chest last time, and it turned out to be cursed, so I then immediately removed them with curse removal, but, you know, at the camp. But usually the cursed items in the Shining Force games have had names like the Black Ring, or the Evil Staff, or whatever, so they're sort of obvious. Kaiser knuckles was not so obvious, and neither is mystery staff, so I'm like, is this a good item or not? I guess I'll try it out between battles. Wow, the Michela doll does not have as good defense as you would have thought. I guess we truly have leveled up too much. See, now he's not recovering it, so it's like, what made him recover it? I'm testing. The healing didn't happen before, but I don't know. Maybe it's because he didn't recover any HP at the same time? It can't have been Aura, because I didn't use Aura between... No, it's not that. Was it someone he was adjacent to somehow? Why? It happened. It wasn't just like a one-time thing. It happened twice, at least, that I noticed. So, like, let's check now. Not that time either. This will kill her, so we won't be able to find out. But that's something I'll have to look up. Well done. Okay, now we get the cutscene. It can't be. Because of those orbs, our magical powers were continually restored. Is that what was going on? Those orbs? But that's... Huh. That's interesting, because... A, I would never have guessed that, because I sort of assumed they would be something that harmed us, because that's usually what random stuff on the map is. And also, there was never any kind of message or indicator of that. Like, they don't get a turn where they, like, glow or something. There's not a little thing saying, oh, the orbs restored MP. Huh. So... Howl was just as useless as I thought, because it was just this one battle. But at least that does explain my confusion, where I was like, how the hell does MP come back? And given that it didn't come back those last 2 turns, there must actually be some sort of internal, like, the orbs do get a turn. Either that, or maybe it's how many spaces you're near them. It's fascinating that nothing in the game tells you anything about that until you finish the fight, because I had done parts of, like, halfway through the battle multiple times and never figured that out. It was like this no message. And, like, you're not necessarily keeping an eye on your MP every single, like, turn, especially when I'm not using that many characters who actually have it, you know. So it's not something you... I don't know, maybe other players would be more observant. I did not notice that at all. Now that I think about it, there were, while I was grinding, I was just kind of idly just having Cynthia use Aura 4 occasionally if we got hit with a bunch of magic attacks. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, she's really got a decent amount of MP now. We can use this multiple times. It must have just been getting restored. What? It's no wonder everyone in the Devil Army used magic. That was the reason. Oh, I see. It wasn't designed to help us. It's because they had Wizard Army. Which, again, is very weird and not something I noticed at all because we killed... By the time the enemies are close enough to fight us and be using their magic, we'll kill them in 1 to 2 turns. So they were never going to run out of MP anyway. I guess it thematically makes sense because Michela's a wizard. Well, it's time we went to find Master Max and stop the Devil's revival. We gotta go in the tower. It's Grand Seal. Eventually there'll be a whole town built around it in the future. Okay, let's... Did anyone get any? No, they did not. Okay, well let's try... I guess we'll have to give it first. Equipping the staff, so then if it's cursed we can immediately remove it. Yeah, he's got the mystery staff. One moment, I need this. False alarm. It's dusty. Let's give it the howl, I guess. Why not? And then let's try equipping it. If it's cursed, we'll immediately remove it. See, here, this is what I mean about the party slots. You can see that our whole party, we only have the 12 slots. We always have. And then this is the reserves, and there's only 1 more slot, but there are 2 more characters. Oh, I just want to say about Kojirou here also. Here he is, level 10. So our force is a little over-leveled. We're a bit ahead of that, but not very much. He's actually pretty similar to Sasuke in stats, I would say. Sasuke's a little higher level now, but, he's basically on par. And he gets a unique weapon, the Kojirou Katana, which I think no one else can wield. And he also has a unique sprite, where we can kind of see the hilt of his katana poking out over his shoulder. We can... His, hairstyle, same as he has in his portrait with the little side locks. He has those. But yeah, I wouldn't say... I don't think he's a good or a bad character. I think if you didn't level grind all your characters up, then he'd probably be quite good, because your other characters would not have as high attack. Like, some of our characters that have just only a little bit higher attack than him probably wouldn't have that at all. They'd be much lower if we hadn't level grinded them. And as it is, even with all the leveling up we've done, he's solid enough. He's on par. Obviously, he doesn't have Sasuke's advantages of using ranged weapons and also having magic, but on the other hand, you've already got Ruperan, so maybe if you just want more variety, you like having as many different classes as you can or whatever, he's perfectly serviceable. And to be honest, you're more likely to find him than Sasuke if you're not using a guide. It's more obviously suspicious. But yeah, so I will swap him in. But yeah, we have 2 more characters to get, and we have 1 spot, so I'm not sure. So this has to be cursed, right? Because it's 12 points higher. No, apparently not. Wow. This is kind of making me question, because 49 attack is still nothing. It'll do 1 damage all the time, maybe. And it didn't boost his MP, so I could theoretically give it to Cynthia. Because she, at her absurd level, actually has quite decent attack. And it's obviously she's not on par with the main character and Ruberon and stuff, but she's kind of similar to the Paladins. And so with her having the extra points of attack, she could actually be pretty darn strong. Although I usually try not to have her kill stuff because it takes exp away from the characters who aren't already at past level 20. So I guess Hal can keep her for now. And it may have other effects like MP restore or something that are not obvious yet, because this is an old game and doesn't tell you what the items do. Okay, so let's swap in Sasuke for Kojirou. Samurai Code of Chivalry demands that I risk my life for the cause of justice. Does it now? We'll aid you in your fight. Okay. And yeah, let's see what the next map is. This one will run a little long, maybe a little longer than a half hour. And then we'll see the cutscene, and off we'll go. It's time to relight the embers. The impossible lies ahead, I guess. I still don't understand what the relight the embers is. Oh ho ho, your battles thus far have been most admirable, Ben. This time, Shining Force, I think your capabilities are really going to be put to the test. As such, I've carefully prepared a rather interesting plan for you. Okay. I'm just trying to recognize which map it is. I'm like, is this the one where we went back to that little town and when Lemon was trying to kill himself? Or is this the one where we went to that, like, weird-ass thing where we had to put the sword in the demon's mouth or whatever? Come out, Michaela. You're acting like a coward as usual. Do you intend to fight us or not? Oh ho ho, you're certainly strong. I'll admit that much, however. You'll be no match for him. Who is him? There's nothing Ben and the rest of us fear. You know, Adam, you're not even fighting in the battle, so it's a bit rich of you to say that. Oh, you're like a coward, you're hiding. It's like, you don't even fight. You do nothing. Guffaws. They decided she had had too many oh-ho-hos thus far. They translated differently. Adam, this man would be heartbroken if he heard you talking about him that way. What do you mean? I wonder if he's fully recovered yet. I assume so. You used to rely on this man. Well, come out. Is it Max? Is he like mind controlled or whatever? I'm assuming that's mind controlled Max. That swordsman's mask. Because of the mask he wears, he's been given the powers of darkness and become a member of the Devil Army. By doing this, he's joined his older brother Cain, hasn't he? Yes, this is him. Oh ho ho ho, I think this fight's going to be most enjoyable. What's this all about? You have to try to defeat Max. Well, Max, take them out. He looks like he's some sort of awkward superhero because of the mask and cape. It looks like we'll have to fight Master Max. Master Max, please wait. We'll solve this curse, you'll see. We do have the power to cure curses if we have enough gold. So let's check out the map. I guess this is just the area in front of Grand Seal, which I don't think we ever fought a battle in this specific spot. We fought inside the tower. But we did go on this map when we, like, it was like, you know, on the walking around the overworld part. We have various new enemies, so basically it looks like it's a map we'll just walk to the top. Oh, there is a chest, so we'll have to make a detour that way and then go over this way. Okay. So, yeah, more of the Canaanites, more of the lesser demons, you know, enemies that we saw in the last battle, Skull Warrior. We do have this new Dark General with the critical sword, so that's a new enemy. Still have the Dark Shaman. Oh, and this looks like the upgraded Hydra. Yeah, the Pyro Hydra. Michaela Doll is now just a regular enemy. That was fast. And then up at the top, with a huge cadre of associates, we have the brand new Demon, which is our new flying enemy. 2 more Michaela Dolls, a Healer, and a Canaanite with the Hyper Cannon. So, this is going to be very tough. I'm assuming some of these enemies will come out and approach us. If they all actually stayed in one place, it would be actually super hard because of multiple magic users. And then we have Max. Oh wow, that's quite a mask. But you know, it does actually kind of fit with Shining Force 1, because Cain also was mind controlled by being forced to wear a mask. Like, he had this helmet, and when we destroyed the helmet, like, it broke in our battle with him, his mind was actually free. So that actually does fit. But yeah, that's very cool. I like Max's frown also. He's like, I don't want to fight. And he has the Sword of Darkness and the Critical Sword. Oh, so this also confirms, because I was a little worried about this. I was like, do I need to buy an extra sword just in case he needs to use the Chaos Breaker? He does come with an actual weapon he can use once we stop having him use the Sword of Darkness. Also, additional question, how does he even have the Sword of Darkness? The Sword of Light and the Sword of Darkness were combined into the Chaos Breaker, which we have. Did someone just make an extra Sword of Darkness just in case? He also has Bolt 3. This is also an interesting note. In Shining Force 1, he actually did not get Bolt. Every one of the Shining Force main characters since then has gotten Bolt in addition to Egress. Max was the only one that hadn't had it, because I guess we just hadn't thought of it yet. He only had Egress. But for this game, they decided to give him Bolt just to match him up with the other main characters. Bolt 3 is actually going to be painful to deal with, because Bolt has a huge range, and we saw in the last battle, Michaela's Bolt 2. And that was only doing like 13 to 15 damage. Bolt 3 will do quite a bit more. I think it does like 25. Which, for some of our characters, like half their health. Some it's more. So that's, you know, that's quite a blow. He only has 25 MP, so at least, unlike the sort of primary magic using enemies, like Michaela Doll set, which have like 70 MP, he can't just use it infinitely, but he can certainly use it enough to rough us up quite a bit. So he'll no doubt be a tough foe. So I guess basically we'll have like one of the birds or whoever hop up and get the chest, then we'll just go right through the center here. Yeah, but that will be for next time. So in this episode of Shining Force, we fought our way past the Michela doll, picked up a new friend, Kojirou the samurai, and now we're approaching the ground steel tower, but who stands in our way but our old friend Max, who's being mind controlled by a magic mask. So we're gonna have to fight him and break the mask, I assume, to free him, and then we will be heading into the final battle. So we're in the home stretch here, and look forward to all of these exciting things in the next episode of Shining Force Final Conflict.